On January 27, 2025, a major event took place that marked a turning point in hip-hop history. If you weren't paying close attention, you might have overlooked the link between Kendrick Lamar's beginnings and his current status as one of the genre's greatest artists. Saturday Night Live, the legendary platform where careers can be launched or destroyed in front of millions, featured Kendrick that night. It wasn't just another performance, it was a strong declaration that the kid from Compton was dedicated to his art. This wasn't just a random appearance or a favor from the industry. It was a significant recognition, essential for cementing his position in a culture that can be harsh towards those who lack authenticity. Welcome to Celebrity Rap Life, where the red carpets never roll up and the spotlight never fades. The rewards are legendary, because in Celebrity Rap Life, every downfall can become a comeback, and every headline tells a deeper story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next. Picture this. Just 4 months earlier, Kendrick had dropped Good Kid, Mad City, an album that would go on to change everything people thought they knew about storytelling in rap. The streets were buzzing, the critics were losing their minds, and anybody who had ears could tell that something special had just landed in the game. But here's the thing about the music industry. Dropping a classic album doesn't automatically mean you get your flowers right away. Sometimes you gotta prove it over and over, show up on stages that matter, and make believers out of people who were sleeping on you. That SNL stage was one of those proving grounds, and Kendrick walked into that building in New York City knowing exactly what he had to do. The pressure was real, no way around it. Saturday Night Live isn't just any show, it's the show, the one that's launched countless careers and exposed just as many frauds who couldn't handle the spotlight. Artists have crumbled under those studio lights, forgotten their lyrics, looked nervous and small when the moment got too big for them. But Kendrick? He came prepared, like his whole life had been building toward this exact moment. When he stepped out to perform Swimming Pools, Drank, the energy shifted in that room. You could feel it even through the television screens across America. This wasn't just another rapper trying to hype up a crowd with ad-libs and repetitive hooks. This was a master craftsman about to show the world what real artistry looked like. Swimming Pools wasn't your typical club banger, and that's what made it genius. On the surface, yeah, it sounded like a party song, something you could nod your head to while the bass rattled your chest. But if you actually listened, if you paid attention to what Kendrick was really saying, you realized he was telling a story about peer pressure, about the dark side of drinking culture, about watching people around him lose themselves at the bottom of bottles while everybody cheered it on like it was all fun and games. The song was layered, complex, the kind of track that made you think while you were moving, and performing it on SNL meant introducing that depth to people who might have never heard of Kendrick Lamar before that night. And he delivered, absolutely crushed it in a way that left no doubt in anybody's mind. His voice cut through that studio with precision, every word landing exactly where it needed to, the emotion raw and unfiltered. You could see it in his eyes, the hunger, the determination of someone who knew this was bigger than just one performance. This was about representing Compton, representing every kid who came from nothing and dared to dream that they could be something. The audience in that studio was locked in, hanging on every syllable. And back home, people were calling their friends, texting, tweeting, saying, "Did you see that? Did you see what just happened on SNL?" But Kendrick wasn't done, not by a long shot. After Swimming Pools, he came back out and hit them with Poetic Justice, and this is where things got even interesting. If Swimming Pools showed his storytelling ability and his willingness to tackle heavy subjects with artistry, Poetic Justice revealed another side, the romantic, the vulnerable, the young man who understood that love and relationships were just as important to document as the street life and the struggles. The song had a Janet Jackson sample that felt nostalgic and fresh at the same time, and when Kendrick performed it, you could hear the influence of the West Coast legends who came before him while still recognizing that he was carving out his own lane completely. What made this SNL appearance so crucial, so historically significant, was the timing of it all. Good Kid, Mad City had only been out for 4 months, which in the grand scheme of album rollouts and career trajectories means Kendrick was still in the early stages of proving himself on a national level. Sure, people who knew hip-hop had been hip to Kendrick for a minute. They'd heard Section 80, they knew about his features and his mixtapes, but the mainstream, the casual music fans, the people who only tuned in when something undeniable crossed their path, they were just starting to catch on. Saturday Night Live gave him access to all those people at once, tens of millions of viewers who might have been watching for the host or the comedy sketches, but ended up discovering one of the most important artists of the generation. Think about what was happening in hip-hop at that time. The game was crowded. Everybody and their cousin had a mixtape or a record deal, and standing out required more than just talent. It required something indefinable, that special quality that separates the good from the legendary. Kendrick had it. You could see it in the way he moved on that stage. Confident but not arrogant, focused but not robotic. He understood that every moment counted. Every performance was an opportunity to win over new fans, or lose them forever if you didn't come correct. And he came correct that night. There's no other way to put it.
The beauty of Good Kid, Mad City was how it told a complete story, like a movie playing out over the course of an album, taking listeners through a day in the life of a teenager trying to navigate the madness of Compton without losing his soul in the process. It was personal and universal at the same time, specific enough that you could feel the authenticity dripping from every bar, but broad enough that kids from all over the world could relate to the themes of peer pressure, family struggles, temptation, and the search for identity. When Kendrick performed those songs on SNL, he was giving people a taste of that narrative, pulling them into his world and making them care about what happened next. What's wild is that this was still early in Kendrick's journey to becoming the cultural force he is today. At that point, he hadn't won a Pulitzer Prize, hadn't dropped Damn or To Pimp a Butterfly, hadn't performed at the Super Bowl, or become the voice of a generation. He was still building, still proving, still hungry in a way that only artists at the beginning of something great can be. That SNL performance was a building block, a crucial step in the process of going from respected underground artist to undeniable mainstream icon without compromising the artistry or the message. The impact of that night rippled far beyond just the performance itself. Music blogs went crazy. Think pieces started popping up about who Kendrick Lamar was and why people needed to pay attention. Sales for Good Kid, Mad City jumped as new listeners rushed to hear what they'd been missing. It was a snowball effect, the kind of momentum that can't be manufactured or bought. It has to be earned through genuine talent and authentic connection with the audience. Kendrick earned it that night, every bit of the attention and praise that followed. Looking back now, knowing everything that came after, it's easy to see that January 27, 2025 SNL appearance as a turning point, a moment when the trajectory became clear for anyone paying attention. But in real time, it was just another step in the grind, another opportunity that Kendrick seized with both hands and refused to let slip away. That's what separates the greats from everybody else. The ability to recognize when the moment is bigger than just the moment, when the stakes are higher than they appear on the surface. The streets were watching that night, make no mistake about it. Every aspiring rapper, every producer, every songwriter and artist who was grinding in obscurity saw what Kendrick did on that stage and understood that this was how it's supposed to be done. Not with gimmicks or theatrics, not with a million dancers and pyrotechnics trying to distract from a lack of substance, but with pure skill, undeniable presence, and songs that actually meant something. It was a masterclass
masterclass in artistry, a reminder that in a genre often criticized for being shallow or one-dimensional, there were still artists willing to dig deeper and demand more from themselves and their audience. And here we are now, reflecting on that moment from years ago, recognizing it for what it truly was. Not just a performance, but a declaration. Not just a TV appearance, but a coronation of sorts. The night when Kendrick Lamar stepped onto one of the biggest stages in entertainment and announced to the world that the king from Compton had arrived and he wasn't going anywhere. Every artist dreams of having a moment like that, a performance that people remember years later, that gets referenced in conversations about the greatest SNL musical guests of all time, that becomes part of the legend. Kendrick got his moment, and more importantly, he made the absolute most of it, setting the stage for everything that would follow in his incredible career. This story is far from over, and the truth is still unfolding. I want to hear what you think. Drop your take in the comments. And if you don't want to miss the next twist, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next.